Today we're going to talk about this contraption. This is the new ShredShox suspension ski binding platform, and we're going to be testing it throughout the season. So I wanted to talk about what it feels like at first glance. This is the first week that I've had them in my hands and can kind of play with them and see what this thing is all about. We'll give you some pricing details and really what the purpose of this whole setup is. What is it? Basically, it is 2 mountain bike shocks, a CNC'd platform with a carbon plate that is designed to suspend your ski bindings and give you a ski full sus type feeling. Now, what does that mean? It basically means that you're going to reduce the amount of energy that is coming into your body from the hill. Bumpy terrain, flat landings, and overall just general fatigue, reducing that fatigue rather, was kind of the goal here. I have a lot of thoughts, I have a lot of feelings. I think that this is a really easy thing to judge at first glance and go, what in the hell is that thing? And that would be a fair assessment. I pretty much did the same thing when they reached out. When I saw the first pictures leaked by Matt Lorelli at Palisades, I was like, this is disgusting. What is going on? I have no clue. That being said, now that I actually have some in my hands, I will tell you that the craftsmanship is actually really good. And it is very well made. Like, it just looks like an expensive piece of equipment. They even color matched the purple to the binding platform setup for me as well, which is a very nice touch. My binding mounted to it, this is an Attack 14, mounted directly onto this plate. Now let's kind of talk about what this actually does in my opinion so far. So you have 2 mountain bike shocks on each one of these binding platforms. Basically, like I said before, the goal is to absorb the shock from the mountain, give you a smoother and more comfortable, less fatiguing skiing experience. Now, that is not necessarily a thing that I have looked for in the past, but they're doing this for a certain user group that they deem worthy of this setup. 2 mountain bike shocks, as I mentioned before, ShredShox has a guide on how to set up these for your weight to give you the best experience. We'll let you know what we find throughout the season as we ski these things, as we get a couple more days, if we make it a couple days skiing this setup. I will tell you, my biggest qualms right now with this setup is that it's massive. Okay, it's really big, it's heavy, the brakes don't lock together correctly without a ski strap, which is a little annoying. Obviously, the concern is that snow buildup underneath here would render the system completely useless, and I guess that's possible, but we're gonna have to find out. You can see how much movement there is just by hand here, and granted, there's not much air in this shock. How much movement there's gonna be in this system. The goal, I think, is a little confusing because in their testing, they say it took out 67% of the energy transfer to the ski. That seems like not a great thing to me. That seems like the opposite of what you would want to be doing. Like, usually people want a ski feel that is more true to the type of ski that they're buying. My worry here is that it's going to basically render the feeling of the ski completely useless, and it's not going to matter what ski you're skiing on anymore, which may be a good thing, maybe a bad thing. The other issue that I have is that it's $2,000 for just the plate system. So you're not talking about a product that is really easily accessible for most people. Like, this is not, unless you had a specific issue of like, man, I'm tired after 4 runs, this would maybe be a great setup for you. But I don't know many people like that. So I don't really know what the benefit is going to be for the majority of people to spend $2 grand on just the plate. Again, you still need to buy the ski, you still need to buy the binding. That being said, I do think that this has to cost a lot because you're working with 4 mountain bike shocks per setup, a huge carbon plate, and this CNC'd riser bit. Like, there's a lot going on here for that money. So I understand why it's $2,000 and why it can't be cheaper, but I definitely have some concerns about the user group. Like, who is that user group? I don't know. Maybe it's just old guys. I genuinely have no clue yet. But I guess we'll find out the second that we get on hill. Obviously, it's really easy to judge this. It's really easy to go, wow, this is a really weird, gross, disgusting thing. Why do we need this in skiing? I understand people's reasoning for feeling that way because we've read a lot of those comments. But I will say, having engineers build something to this level, this quality standard, is pretty cool. And it comes from outside of skiing. Like, the guys that are designing this came from outside of skiing. And that's where a lot of really good ideas come from in this industry, so you can't hate it until we know if it works or not. If this thing makes a big difference, I will happily tell you. If this thing is terrible, I will happily tell you. I think that there is a good chance that I hate this thing. I think there is a good chance that it surprises me and is okay. I think there's a small chance that this thing blows me out of the water. So I'm curious to see how it feels once we get it on snow, which will be next week. So you'll start finding out more info very soon. For now, tell me what you think. What do you see as issues with the ShredShox system? What do you see as benefits to this system? Tell me how you feel about